Hey, video game nerds, and time for another update. I was hoping that this was going to be the last episode for my Project 1 Planetary Defense V2. I had contacted an artist to help me with the sprites and the backgrounds, and I went searching and found some music for the background, and did sound effects and whole bunch of stuff, and the game's starting to look pretty polished. I'm afraid my artist has not produced anything yet, and I'm pretty much out of time, so I'm cleaning up the sprites myself, and so that's taken a little bit more time. But it should be pretty close to done. I'm also waiting for my code signature so I can sign it as a developer and share it out without any warnings and without anybody being able to hack the code. I had to contact a notary and supply information and get that sent off to the central authority so that they know who I am and I say who I am, and I'm a good citizen of the internet and my code is squeaky clean. So I'm still waiting for that. But in the meantime, I can show you some things which I've worked on. A lot of stuff with the audio. I've sort of taken the flat 2D world, and you remember how I set up the playfield to be all nice and even and flat? Well, I've thrown it into 3D so that I can move it around and put up the high scores and some credits in the title screen, and so it's looking pretty sharp. So I'll switch over to the computer and we'll show off some of the features and tell you where we're at. All right, it's going to be a good episode. If you like it, please subscribe, and you'll be notified of any updates on this project and any of the other projects coming up. All right. So when I went looking for some music, of course I went to Google first, and I typed in that I was looking for music for, kind of an 8-bit space game, because that's what it was originally, right? There was no music in the original one. The Atari didn't have enough memory. I mean, it had the chips to do it, but not enough memory. And one of the first couple of hits that came up was 8-bit Space Groove by the Healy Brothers. The Healy Brothers have a huge selection of game music and a lot of 8-bit stuff too, and I really like this song. Let's see if I can play a little bit of it. My intention was my game's going to be based on waves, and I wanted to have like a different rhythm for each wave in the background that changed from wave to wave. But had a solid theme based on this song. So I bought a license for this song and contacted Healy Brothers. They got a Discord server, and I was able to talk to them a bit. But what I was looking for was a way to make a whole bunch of different measures, because I have 50 waves, and I tried making different measures for out of the sound clips. And I think I only got about 15 or 16. This is GarageBand. I was able to go through and clip out the different measures and put them in here in their own little different sections. What I was really looking for was the stem files. Now, for a song, a stem file is all the individual tracks that were used to make up the song, and usually they're clean instruments. But he didn't think that he could find them, so I waited a couple days and he didn't find them. So I tried cutting these out into individual sections. Let's see if I can shrink this here. So you can see how I cut them all up into individual measures, and then I went through and put them here, and I looped them just to hear how they sounded. So I was able to come up with some. But I really hit a limit, and I needed 50. I pulled in the track, and I went through and matched up as close as I could the different parts, the different instruments for this track. So I got the bass here. Let me see if I can hear that. Now it's not exactly the same as what they had on their on their song, because I didn't have the exact instruments, but the beat's pretty close, and you can definitely tell that it's based on their song. Let's see, put in the hi-hat. No, actually that's the snare. Hi-hat. So with this, let's do that back here. So what I could do is I could take these tracks and turn on the different sections. And then once I got the pattern, which I liked, I could then export this one little section as a measure. And so I went through and made a whole bunch of these measures, and I got up to 51. I had to get creative in some of the parts. Oh, that's for a different part. All right, so you can see I went and did a lot of work on this, but I was able to get it close enough for what I need, and I ended up with 51 measures to put in the game. So the music the music assets are ready to go. Let's talk about sound effects. Okay, let's see. So this is a one of the free sound generators that's on the internet. There's a couple, and what it is it's just a basic synth that lets you play around with different waveforms and attacks and sustains and delays and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. And you can try the different samples here. Let's see if I can play this. Oh, sound volume. Here we go. And so you can randomize and find a whole bunch of different sounds that you like. And if there's some sound that you like, let's get a jump here. Every time you hit jump, it makes a sort of a random jump. Then you can mutate it. Let's see. Let's do a hit hurt. See, it's like a little explosion, right? And I could say, oh, I like this one, so let's export it and hit her wave. And I can just, let me say that to the desktop. All right, here it is right here. And then I can, if I want to edit it at all, I can open up in Audacity. Okay, all right. And I can do some changes on it. You can see this waveform's nice and clean. And then you can normalize it, and so you can make the volume nice and even. So I use this tool to make all the sound effects that I have in the game. And it's royalty free, right? And it's customized. Now this is really good for 8-bit stuff. If you're doing something that's more realistic, that's a whole whole nother level of detail, and that's where you get like a sound engineer and some sound specialist who can do that kind of work. Fortunately, I'm just doing a cheap little game based on 8-bit stuff, so 8-bit sounds work great. All right, here we are at the development window. So these are the files that make up the game, and resources is where I have my sprites. This is where most of the artwork's at. It also has the music. So here's new space, right? Here are all the different song tracks, all 51 of them. And then here are the sound effects, all the different sound effects for different things. And these are all images. Let's go to the bomb. And these are all sprite cells. So the sprite is just the object that moves around the screen, and a sprite cell is what it draws in that sprite, depending on whatever settings. And normally you have animated sprites, and it would have like running or jumping or walking. But the other thing you can do with sprites is you can have it change rotation. Now, in the game, you could physically rotate it by changing the transform and setting a rotation value, but when you're doing pixel to pixel comparison, you have to have the pixels drawn in different rotations. So this is what I had to do for anything that had a direction: the bomb, the smart bomb, heavy bomb. And the nice thing about this is I can go into Photoshop and say, okay, let's go look at the bomb here. I can open all these images in one shot. Just hit open, and it loads them all in step by step. Now it's a really small sprite. I think this is 32 by 32. So let me just zoom in here. All right. So if you remember, the original bomb was just all white, and it wasn't very smooth. So what I did was I took my white pencil and I went through and just filled in any of the spots which I thought were, needed to be filled in, like that, just to get the shape right. And then what I did was I selected all the transparency. So this is all the stuff that doesn't have pixels. And then I would inverse the selection. So now I have all of the pixels selected, and I went and filled it with white. Okay. But then what I wanted was I wanted it to be highlighted. I wanted the light source to be from the top, so it's nice and white at the top, and I wanted the shade to be at the bottom. So while this is selected, I use this tool here. This is the blend tool, or the gradient tool, and it goes from black to white. And what you do is you go down here where the dark is going to be coming from, and you just draw it up here. So this is where it's going to go to white. So right in the middle, it's going to be gray. So you see how that gray is smoothed into the white up at the top. So you can play around with this and get it to the right consistency. And so you could just change direction and just have the shade come from the other side. But what I wanted was a consistent highlight at the top and gray at the bottom. Okay. All right. So I did that for all of these. I also did some touch up and some nudging, so I had some extra shadows here where the fins would be and that sort of thing. I touched up all the sprites, and so they look pretty good. Now let me talk about what I did to the screen here. What I did was I changed the mode from 2D to 3D. So remember, 2D does that parallel projection where everything is the same size no matter how far the distance is. So what I did is when I made the game, I put all of the parts to the game on pretty much the same field. Here's kind of the background where I have my text blocks. There's the planet, right? The planet's right there in that field, and I have all the bombs come in on the same plane, and the bullets and the satellites and all that. Right, there's a satellite right there. So everything's the same size because they're the same distance away. Here's the camera view. This is the view that you see. So you see this little picture right here? That's looking from this camera out towards this direction. If I select the camera, you can see the fulcrum there, right? Remember we talked about that? That's the fulcrum that the camera sees. So we're a little bit inset, but that's okay. So what I did was I said, okay, I need to have a title screen and a high score screen. So how can I do this? Well, instead of having a whole different scene, what I do is I just rotate the camera to either that direction, or face it down for the title, right? So let me see if I can get really close here. So here's the camera. I'm looking from the camera point of view, right? I can just look down and say, oh, there's title. Look over to the right. Oh, there's the high scores. Look over to the left. Oh, there's the credits. And then I'm probably going to put like the instructions back here or something like that. So that's what I did. Then once I did that, it really changed the look, because what it did was it got rid of the 2D generic blue background, and it made it nice and dark. The other thing I did was I created a sphere outside the whole area. Let me stop this and turn off the full screen. Okay, so you can see the camera is now looking down, and what I did is I created a sphere around the whole area, and I put these random little dots on the outside of the sphere of different colors, and they twinkle in and out. These are particle effects. They don't take up much space, and they draw really fast. And so this creates kind of a starry background field, and it looks really nice. Now watch the camera. You'll see that it's looking at the title. Oh, now it's switching over to looking at the high score. So you can see the camera's view has changed. And then it's going to switch over to look at the credits. There we go. And then when we start the game, hit the start button, right? It's now looking at the planet. Oh, and you hear the music in the background. All right, very cool. So that's what I've done to the game. Let's see. Yeah, I put in the high scores. I put in the titles. Cleaned up the sprites. Added the music. Added the sound effects. And it's pretty close to done. I have put in. Let's take a look at the code here, and let's see how many levels I've put in. Okay, I still only have 20 levels put in. Oh, the other thing I did was I put in. You remember the targets, the bonus levels? Originally they were random. What I did was made it so that they have the same layout for all of the waves. Okay, so let's start at wave 5, just so you can see what the bonus level's like. Okay, so we hit start. Let's switch to wave 5. Alright, so see the targets are all in a static location. Oh no, I didn't. I made a mistake. So I didn't get the full bonus. But what happens is every time you hit that level, the targets are going to be the same spot, so you can prepare and get good at it and improve. Because the bonus waves get a lot more targets and a lot more difficult. All right, so I still got to put in the code for the 30 waves. It's just going to be more and more until finally it hits level 50. And then getting the code signature and putting this up on the website. Yeah. All right. We also can build this for. We got a target platform. Right now we're on Windows. We can do a build for Mac OS. We can also do a build for Linux. And I'll have to get a different code signature for Mac OS. I think Linux will use the same one as Windows. I'm not sure. I'll have to investigate that.
Hey!